You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 24th day of September, 2025. Thanks for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So to get in there, you got to be one of our traders or taking your 1-week free trial. If you've not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially start tomorrow, and then it'll run all the way through next Wednesday. The weekend does not count against you. There's no credit card required. And you get a lot more than just the 2-hour live training room each day. You get everything. We treat you just like you were already a member. A passport holder for 5 consecutive trading days with access to the alerts, the zones, the Telegram discussion group, everything, so that at the end of your trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision whether or not trading is right for you. Again, in about an hour, when Michael joins us for a recap of the live training room, he'll walk you through the process step by step, take you 3 minutes tops. We'll have your indicators up and indicating today. Now, each afternoon broadcast, this is our schedule. We're going to dive right into our daily devotional. The topic we're on right now is what happens in the end. Our scripture today, Matthew 25, verses 1 through 13. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out." "No," they replied. "There may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves." But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. "Lord, Lord," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." Now, in case you hang out on the internet, I know a few of you do, one of the most popular trending topics of late is that the world as we know it ends yesterday, the 23rd day of September. Yeah, it was a big thing. It was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it. Some prophet somewhere started this thing, and we've all been through this before. The truth is, no one knows. Not even Jesus. Only the Father knows. So, once again, the prophecy of the end has come and gone. This is the final day of our topic, what happens in the end. Living ready for eternity. If you knew Jesus was coming back tomorrow, what would you do differently today? That's the question we should live with every day. We don't know when Christ will return, but we do know he will. And that truth should shape every part of how we live. Like the wise virgins in Jesus' parable, we must be prepared. That means walking in holiness, being faithful in what God has entrusted to us, and staying alert. Eternity is not a future possibility, it's a present reality we live in light of. Living with eternity in mind will change how we spend our time, how we love our families, how we treat our coworkers, and how we respond to temptation. We are not living for this life alone. We're living for the life to come. We're not called to be perfect. We're called to be faithful. So stay anchored. Keep your lamp full. Encourage one another. And keep looking up. He's coming soon. Let's all be ready. Now, here's some homework. Ask the Holy Spirit to reveal any area of distraction or complacency in your life. Take one step today towards living with eternal purpose. Whether it's a habit to start, a conversation to have, or a prayer to pray. As we look to the future and what happens in the end, be ready. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, you are the bridegroom who will come at an hour we do not expect. Teach us to be wise and ready, keeping our lamps full with faith, prayer, and obedience. Help us not to grow careless or distracted, but to live prepared for your return. May we be found faithful and awake when you come in glory. It's in your name We believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow is down 156 points. The NASDAQ is down 162. S&P 500 down 32. And the Russell 2000 down 13. All the same color. In the commodity basket, crude oil still on a tear, up another $1.27 today, trading 64.70 last. It's a gain of a little over 2%. On the other hand, gold is down 41 bucks, trading 37.74.70 last. That's a drop of a little over 1%. Silver down 43 cents, trading 44.17 last. That's a drop of just over 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 136 points. The Shanghai rose 31, and for the Shanghai, that's pretty close to 1%. The Hang Seng gained 359 points, and that's close to 1.5%. A lot of that has to do with Alibaba, which is up 9% today. In the European markets at the close, FTSE up 27, the DAX up 70, the CAC down 44. So it was a green day for Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. And it's a red radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Again, as futures traders, we like to see the four major indices all the same color. Doesn't matter if they're all four green or all four red, because with futures you can be long, short, and long again, all in the same hour if that's what the chart in front of you is telling you to do. And when they're all the same color, that's when you get better follow through on your trades. Turning to the news, President Trump said yesterday Ukraine could reclaim territory from Russia, a shift from his earlier stance after meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the United Nations 80th General Assembly in New York. Earlier in the day, Trump questioned the UN's effectiveness during an address to the 193-member body. He scolded him pretty good. He criticized nations for renewable energy initiatives, migration policies, and recognition of a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secret Service announced it dismantled a vast telecom network that could have disrupted the annual UN gathering. No doubt that's part of why it was put together. Agents seized over 300 SIM servers across the New York area, capable of disabling phone towers, blocking 911 calls, and sending mass messages. Officials said no plot to target the UN meeting was found, but they believe unnamed foreign governments used the system to communicate with organized crime and terrorist groups. Roughly 150 leaders are expected to speak before the general debate concludes Monday. The man accused of attempting to kill then presidential candidate Donald Trump at his West Palm Beach, Florida golf course last September was found guilty yesterday. A 12-person jury convicted Ryan Ruth, 59, of all charges, including assaulting a federal officer, possessing a firearm as a felon, and attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate. Shortly after the verdict, the would-be assassin, representing himself, grabbed a pen off a desk and tried to stab himself in the neck before marshals removed him from the courtroom. Prosecutors presented evidence that he had spent weeks planning the attack, positioning himself between bushes and aiming a rifle at Trump from roughly 400 to 500 yards away. Though he never fired a shot, he faces life in prison at his December 18 sentencing and maintains he didn't intend to kill anyone. Ruth also faces a state trial where he has pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism and attempted murder. Wonder if he'll represent himself on that one. The king of storms, Super Typhoon Ragasa, is expected to make landfall near Shenzhen, China, today as the most powerful tropical cyclone in the world so far this year. The storm reached peak winds of 162 miles per hour near its eye Monday, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. It has since been downgraded to a Category 4 equivalent storm. Authorities in Guangdong Province, a southern financial hub, canceled schools and businesses and relocated more than 1 million residents amid warnings of catastrophic flooding and waves up to 21 feet. Ragasa's impact is expected to raise water levels by about 6 feet along the coast, with some areas seeing between 12 and 15 feet. The typhoon struck the northern Philippines and eastern Taiwan earlier this week, causing 14 deaths in Taiwan and 3 in the Philippines. It is forecast to move westward towards Vietnam and Laos later this week. China's meteorological agency has referred to Ragasa as the king of storms, drawing comparisons to Typhoon Mangkhut in 2018, which caused significant damage in Hong Kong and about $592 million in economic losses. Turning to Wall Street, I mentioned years ago, and some of you were here to hear it, lithium. I'm not talking about the kind that gives you the lithium shuffle when you're in the psychiatric ward, although that has its place. I'm talking about one of the rare earth minerals that is required for a lot of technology, but there's not a whole lot on planet Earth. One of the companies, Lithium Americas, which trades under the symbol LAC, soared in pre-market trading this morning, gaining more than 90% after news reports that the Trump administration is looking to take a stake in the operator of what is said to be the largest lithium mine in the country. It's currently up 93.5%. And there is also a huge lithium deposit in the Nevada desert. You might want to do a little research on that one. Last night, Reuters reported that the administration is seeking a stake of up to 10% in Vancouver, British Columbia-based Lithium Americas, as part of renegotiations for a $2.26 billion loan the company received from the Department of Energy for its Thacker Pass lithium mine. The report sent shares in Lithium Americas rocketing upward this morning. Shares in General Motors, which owns a 38% stake in the project, traded up a bit over 2% in early trading. Under the terms of the prospective Lithium Americas deal, the mining company has offered the administration no-cost warrants on up to 10% of the company's common shares. The administration is also reported to be seeking purchase guarantees from General Motors, which has $625 million invested in the project. The original loan includes terms that allow the administration to seize control of the project if it is delayed or faces major cost overruns. All that according to Reuters. Now, pay close attention to this part. I said Lithium Americas is up 95%. You're probably thinking, well, I sure missed that. It's trading at $5.99 a share. It's up $2.93 on the session. So if there was ever a small cap stock you might want to take a look at, well, this just might be one. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell any security, but it is a recommendation to do your own due diligence on LAC, Lithium Americas Corp. Last week, the Fed voted to cut interest rates in a decision that expressed unity despite a sole dissent. And the sole dissent was because he wanted a half-point cut. I love the way they word that. It's very misleading. But hey, what's new? But a mere week later, commentary from central bankers is foreshadowing disagreement to come. That's because even as central bankers commit to staying data dependent, shifting their thinking alongside new information, several policymakers see the threats facing the labor market as more imposing than persistent inflation. In a speech yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell again outlined the Fed's risks of cutting too much, too soon, or too little, too late. Not surprising, his solution is more of the wait and see ethos that has characterized his tenure. Jerome, fortune favors the bold, and he who does nothing gets nothing, accomplishes nothing, and is not remembered well by history. While Powell represents the consensus at the Fed, other policymakers don't view caution as the appropriate posture, since in their view, the labor market is already flagging. But he won't listen to anybody. That's his style. From Reuters, sales of new U.S. single-family homes surged in August, but the boost from declining mortgage rates could be limited by a weakening labor market. New home sales shot up 20.5% to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 800,000 units last month, according to the Commerce Department's Census Bureau. The sales pace for July was revised higher to a rate of 664,000 units from the previously reported pace of 652,000 units. It must be really hard to count these things. I don't know how American Idol does it during a commercial break. From Bloomberg, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent expressed disappointment that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell hasn't clearly established an agenda for cutting interest rates. Rates are too restrictive. They need to come down, Bessent told Maria Bartiromo in an interview on Fox Business this morning. I'm a bit surprised that the chair hasn't signaled that we have a destination before the end of the year of at least 1 to 1.5 basis points. Powell, in remarks at an event in Rhode Island yesterday, said the central bank had to contend with both a weakening labor market and the risk of higher inflation as it weighs future decisions. This guy is just afraid to commit. And all the ladies in the room said, From Bloomberg, Micron Technology shares fell after a generally upbeat forecast from the memory chip maker, but it failed to impress investors, underscoring Wall Street's lofty expectations following an extraordinary rally this year. Get ready for more of that. The UK's National Crime Agency said today that a man was arrested in connection to the ransomware attack that has caused delays and disruptions at several European airports since the weekend. The hack, which began Friday, targeted check-in systems provided by Collins Aerospace, causing delays at Brussels, Berlin, and Dublin, as well as London's Heathrow, which lasted until yesterday. Interestingly, the NCA did not name the arrested man. They did say he's in his 40s, and he was arrested in the southern county of West Sussex under the country's Computer Misuse Act. They do things different over there. Last, Google's latest AI project ventures into Pinterest territory as the company announced the launch of Mixboard, software that enables anyone to create AI-powered mood boards. The service competes with Pinterest's collage feature, where users create mood boards using their favorite pens and other images. With Mixboard, however, there's no need to have an established image collection to pull ideas from. Instead, users can start their own project using text prompts to have AI fill in the ideas. Pre-populated boards you can edit are also available if you need a little help in the creativity department. The service is initially available as a public beta in the US via Google Labs. This is as stupid as Pinterest on steroids, but hey, people bought into Pinterest. I've yet to meet anyone in person who actually uses it on even a semi-regular basis. But according to their numbers, it's quite the big deal. Now, with this new thing from Google, after you create images using AI, you can then ask AI to make edits and other small changes or even combine images. This leverages Google's new image editing model called, I'm not kidding, Nano Banana, which has been enthusiastically received for its ability to handle more complex edits and make realistic images. Pretty soon, you'll never know if you're looking at something. Now, as someone who was building websites in the late 90s, I know what it is to spend days laboring over a page to try to get it just right. But after a couple of days of hard work and no sleep, You had something you could be real proud of because you created it. Now you just type in or speak in what it is you want to see in front of you, and in nanoseconds, hence the name Nano Banana, voila, there it is. And it's a whole lot better than what you could have done. And it didn't take a couple days, it didn't take a sleepless night, just poof, there it is. Is that the world you want to live in? I guess it doesn't matter because it is the world we're going to live in. Like it or not, that's what's coming to the world near you, the one in which we live. So I guess we just have to get used to it. Remember the commercial way back in the day? Is it Live or is it Memorex? A lot of people are going, what's a Memorex? It was that little cassette tape. Yeah. People are going, what's a cassette tape? Well, I'll leave you with this. It came after the 8-track tape. Okay. All right. Logic 247, our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. Over the last 372 weeks, we have issued over 20,500 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, so some of these numbers have changed. She will, of course, update the recap this afternoon, early evening, as she does each and every day. The time Valerie did the recap this morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 41 logic alerts, still waiting on the outcome of 11. That gives us 30 actionable alerts, of which 4, or 13%, would have been stopped out, again based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, and then an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day. In most cases, there will be additional targets and then a final trade to target. The final trade to target is always a weekly trading zone. So if it's a long alert, then it's going to be the weekly trading zone above. If it's a short alert, it'll be the weekly trading zone below. Now, Logic 247 runs around the clock because we have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. So when you look at the logic alerts, you might go, gee, I wasn't able to trade that because it triggered at midnight my time or 3 a.m. my time when the London market opened. That's okay. Trade them when you can, okay, but the real purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read the chart. So even if you're unable to actually trade one of the alerts, you can still bring up your chart, bring up the alert, and start drawing horizontal lines at the entry price, at the initial target, at the additional targets, and then you've already got the weekly trading zone on your chart, the final trade to target. Repeat that process enough times and pretty soon you won't even need the alerts because you're looking at the same chart I am. And everything is based on simple logic. So again, trade them if you will, trade them if you can, but make sure you use them to learn how to read a chart, because if you want to trade for a living, it's never going to happen until you learn how to read the chart. And if you're new to trading, you're like, well, I know how to read. Yeah, okay. But a chart has no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. It's a whole different language. And until you learn that language, none of it is going to make sense. It's all going to look like chaos. It's not. But it'll appear that way till you learn how. Now, we've had the Logic 247 alerts for a little over 7 years, but years before there was a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the Concierge Trade Alerts. They're a lot different. Primarily, or initially, they're published not around the clock like the Logic alerts. The Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock for reasons I just explained. But the CTAs are published as a static report shortly before the Globex open each evening. The Wednesday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. The Wednesday session that we're in right now will end today at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Thursday session will begin tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. And God willing, the CTAs will be published this afternoon at 5:55 p.m. Eastern. What that means is all of our traders and trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market even opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's take a look and see what's happening. We'll go to the daily chart of the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures, where we start each day. And we talked yesterday about how the black step line had crossed and was starting to peel away from blue and climbing. And I said that would be an indication that price is beginning its journey back to the BBC. That's the green line. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green, and we call it the BBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. The last time price crossed above the green line was April 24th. And look at how many times price has pulled back to the BBC. And as you can see, every single time, even when it spikes it, the candles are still touching. So when I say the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, well, you can see what I mean. Now the current low is right here where the step line began crossing from the left side to the right side of blue and climbing, making that itself an important price, important area. So certainly no surprise that the market has found support there for the moment. Once it breaks through, the next area for potential support should be down around 66, 60, we'll call it 66, 65, just to be conservative. Then the daily BBC. Remember, price always reverts to the mean. Question is, the pullback is held. every single time since April. It's now the end of September. We know that eventually price is going to trade through the BBC. Will it be this time? No. Will it be this time? No. Will it be this time? We don't know. But we do know where it's headed. Now, could this potential support cause price to do an about face and head back up? You got to embrace all possibilities. But we'll just wait and see. All of the alerts, the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts. These are the CTAs right here that I showed you just a moment ago. And I told you that all of our traders had them 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay. The vertical line separates today Wednesday. Here's Tuesday. Heck, here's Monday. And the horizontal lines, those are the weekly trading zones. 67.59/60, 67.38/39, 67.12/13, and 91/92. The weekly trading zones are published for our members every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They do not change in any way whatsoever. That's how it's been for the last 15.5 years. What's changed about the zones over those 15.5 years? Absolutely nothing. So this was the opening candle last night. Now when price drops to a weekly zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. When price is above the BBC, we're expecting higher prices. When price is below the BBC, we expect lower prices. It's real simple. And as I said, price always reverts to the mean. At this pullback, we consolidated at the BBC. We had a couple of candles that opened and closed above the BBC. So in the moment, it looked like price might potentially head higher. But this high right here was never closed above. Now, this happened 30 minutes ahead of the London Open. Here's the London Open, and look what happened. We got a drop, and then a reversal. But we just continued to hug the BBC until the Wall Street Open this morning. Blue and climbing turned to red and falling, and down we went. All the way to the short target. Pretty much to the tick. What's the low? 67.06 to the tick, right there. Now, where did that short target come from? It's pretty simple. You see where red and falling became blue and climbing? You see that? There's your short target. Okay, to the tick. So, when the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance, which it found at the black step line. When the black step line is above price, it becomes potential resistance. At the same time, we're getting a bearish cross here. That's when the red line gets below the green line. Okay. Blue and climbing is bullish. Red and falling is bearish. Bullish, bearish. Pretty simple. So we consolidate at the weekly zone. Now, only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly trading zone. 70% of the time, it's going to be consolidation, wide-ranging consolidation, still consolidation. 20% of the time will be rejection. Price came down, touched the zone, got rejected. And then 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When it runs out of steam, it will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. And that's exactly what happened. And so what have we been doing for the last hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes? Consolidating at the weekly trading zone. True story. Now, this low today, now you see how price, this 30-minute candle, you see how it spiked or sliced through that zone. When it ran out of steam, what did it do? It retraced back to the zone it sliced through. And then it continued in the direction of the slice. And where did it end up? It overshot this low by just a little bit. Maybe a point, maybe two. Okay. Now, no magic, just reading the chart. Something you can learn how to do if you're willing to put in the time to learn. Here's the Dow. This was the opening candle last night. Now, price is trapped, resistance overhead, support below. Right here, price dropped all the way down to blue and climbing, confirmed it as support, and then sent us up to right here. Now, we would have expected resistance right here at this bearish cross, okay? But it didn't happen. Price couldn't quite get there. When you have a bearish cross, that's when the red line gets below the green line that leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. We spiked it right here and continued our journey down to the next zone where we found support. Now that the market has found support, it's got to go right where it did on Monday. These are the zones that were published Monday. All of our traders had these zones Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they don't change. They're carved in stone for the entire week. So we had resistance at the zone, support at the zone. Price is now looking for resistance. It will find it here at the black step line, possibly at the underside of the short target. Notice red and falling in the weekly zone are lined right up. And then you got the BBC overhead. So potential resistance, resistance times 2, and resistance here. So wherever it does find that resistance, look for another leg to the downside. Now, is it possible that price could just take off like a rocket and overcome all those different areas of potential resistance? Sure. Got to embrace all possibilities. But I wouldn't count on it. Especially when we're dealing with this bigger picture. Okay. All right, the Russell, here we go sideways, down to the zone, support, bounces up to the BBC, resistance, which sends us back to the zone, support. Now this zone here is 2473/74. The low of this candle is 73.5. So from the zone support to the BBC resistance, back to the zone support. Right? Okay. So we consolidate along the BBC, and then we get a move to the upside. This is off the 9:30 opening candle on Wall Street. And we fail to make it to the bearish cross. That's a sign of weakness. And as you can see, price dropped, hit the short target, traded through the short target, and found support at the zone. It's now bounced up to the underside of the short target, and it's almost touching the black step line. So you got potential resistance here, 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 and then resistance times 2 here. The NQ. Here's where we opened last night. Dropped to the BBC, confirmed as good support. And it sent us up to the BBC. Got a leg, got a retracement, pullback held. We got another leg. Not an area I would have called for potential resistance. But hey, after 20,500 plus Logic 247 alerts, we know that 20% of the time or less, the market is going to do something other than what we expect it to do. And here's an example. Price comes back to the BBC, bounces one more time, hits red and falling, resistance, and that sends us all the way down to the short target. We even spiked it a little bit. Had a lot of energy coming down. Again, that was the 9:30 Wall Street opening candle. Okay. And so this low pretty much lines up with this low right here. But before the 30-minute candle closed, we were back above the zone. So then we consolidate, and then we take another drop. Now, this time we dropped pretty hard. We dropped through the zone, and we have not yet retraced back to the zone. Is it getting ready to do that? It might. You're looking across here. That does not look like a good area for potential support, but in fact it was. And so you have to accept what the market hands you. Could we get the retracement now back to the zone and then continue on our way down? I would think so. We've got the bearish cross here. We've got the step line in red and falling running parallel. So, yeah. Gold. Here's where we opened on gold last night. Ran up to the BBC. See, from the close yesterday, we had a leg. And then the market opened last night. We got a retracement. The pullback held. And then a leg and a retracement. The pullback held. And then a leg that took us to 37.84. That's this low from yesterday, right here. You only need a $1 move to get your goal for the day. This one candle right here opened at 37.88.8 and dropped to 84.8. That little red candle right there, that's worth $400 per contract traded. And then we hit the zone, the target, support, which set us up to the long target, resistance, which then set us back down to the short target. Got a bounce, resistance at the black step line. And now we find ourselves right here. Okay. Now, right here. You see that little tiny one tick wick pointing up and this one pointing down? We have spiked that, but we haven't closed below it. Okay. That's an important price, important area where the market should find support and maybe get a good bounce. Will be right here where the step line crossed red and falling and turned it to blue and climbing right there. So call it 3760. Now remember, you want to get below this area. So maybe 64, even go 63 down to 60. That's $300 per contract traded. Silver, having kind of a quiet day. It's been moving on up. So, not unusual to have a day of some quiet consolidation. Here's where we opened last night, ran up to the BBC, pullback held. You see you had a leg and a retracement. Pullback held. And then we dropped down to where? The short target. $44.08. Spiked it a little bit. You only need 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for the day. Support sent us to resistance at the long target, which sent us back to support at the BBC, which sent us back to the long target. Then we get below the BBC, and we miss hitting the short target this time by how much? The low was 44.10, by 2.5 cents. Okay, but plenty of room to get your goal for the day. Then we go back to the long target, and then we go back to the short target. Short target, long target, long target, short target, long target, short target. You get the idea. Now what are we doing? We're consolidating here. We're getting a bearish cross. Red and fallings dropping below the BBC. So this candle already found resistance at the black step line. Will this one? There's 2 minutes left in the life of this candle. On the short side, I would be careful. Right here you have a bullish cross, okay? I know you only need 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. Just be aware that right there is potential support. And then of course you have the zone at 43.80/81. Which brings us back to the daily candle, and we've got a smaller wick than we had a few minutes ago. So remember, keep this area. We got to take out this low, okay? That's where the cross began, where the step line crossed blue and climbing. The next area for potential support, and it could even mark the low of the session. Right here. Let's call it 66. Call it 66.65. The low of the day so far, 66.78. So that would still be about a 13-point drop from here. Okay. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you all the information you need to get signed up. Once you're signed up, she'll send you more information. Create a file in your email client. And all the information she sends you, just put it in a folder in your email client. So when you need it, as you begin your learning journey, you'll know where it is. You're going to get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. 2 hours every trading day. On top of that, private one-on-one mentoring. at your request. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. On Monday morning, you'll get the weekly trading zones at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you'll be invited to the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you'll get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. Just email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Michael's here. He will give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning, and then do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. I'll come back, wrap things up with our good word for the day.
All right. Here we go.
Looks good.
Great. Excellent. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 24th day of September, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you'd like to, then all you need to do is go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for this trial. Just click on that purple button, and it's going to bring you to this page, this registration page. Just fill it out. Right. Once you fill this out, down here at the bottom, make sure you use TradingView login ID. That is what we're going to use to enable the indicators on your desktop. So get that for us and give it to us. If you don't have one, click on this link right here. All right, that's going to bring you to this page. Watch this video. Sign up for TradingView. This is a free version you can get. It's a free version all the time. And then there's a 30-day trial version. I would recommend going with the Essential, which is a 30-day trial. You're going to have to get real-time data. I use Sierra Chart to trade, but you can use whatever you want. But I would recommend getting real-time data if you're going to take the trial. All right, that's all that stuff. Now, we had a pretty good day today in the room. We're up $797.50. We did stop up a few times, quite a few times on each market, I think. But we ended up, well, first, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, we made 40 ticks on the NQ, which was not the high of the day. The high of the day on the NQ was 70 ticks. Made 66 on the YM, and I believe that was the high of the day. That was on the YM. On the YM, the low of the day, we started out with a stop out on the YM, minus 15 on that. The gold, we're at 13, and 17 was actually the high of the day on that. We were as low as minus 13 at one point. And we got back up to 13. And the ES 11, that was the high of the day. We only had a few trades on the ES, and one was a plus 10, one was a plus 1 to make it to 11. Today took 10 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,400 with 10 contracts on them. Took a total of 28 trades. So on the month now, we're at $12,220. By the end of the month, I need to make another $3,500 to get that to $200,000. I'd like to do that before we enter the final quarter. I'd like to be able to get to that point before we enter the final quarter. Hopefully I'll be able to. We have 4 days left, I think. 4 business days, right? Yes. Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I know we have news events tomorrow and the next day. I didn't check to see what the rest of the week is like next week. Go to Econ calendar. And go to next week. Monday, Friday, October 3rd. Oh, an extra week. Here it is. Let's skip Monday. Tuesday, September 30th. What the heck, man? Let's go back here. September 27th, 25th is tomorrow. We have high impact stuff tomorrow. 26th is Friday. We have high impact stuff on Friday. 27th, 28th. We need the 29th now. Let's bump this one. There it is. No, it is not caught up. It is not done yet. Let's go to a different one. We have this other one down here. Just go to this one. I bump that one. And then I filter it for just the US. Did I miss the USD? Oh, here it is right there, USD. There you go. Apply filter. There you go. So Monday, we have no news. Pending home sales at 10 a.m. on Monday. Tuesday, we have Joel's job openings. So we have, that's it. Then next week, the rest of the week, next week, we have a whole bunch of news. All right, we have ADP stuff and unemployment rate, non-farm employment, all that stuff's coming at the end of next week. But, well, all that to say, we're just going to make our money. I need to make $3,500 between now and then per contract. Yeah, $3,500 per contract. So it's going to take a bit. I'm going to have a really good couple of days. Hopefully we'll get there. Anyway, bring up the question box. Nobody asked any questions. All right, hopefully we'll get there. But so far on the year, 196,665. We're around 64 business days, averaging $1,199 per contract for 2-hour business day. So we finally got under $1,200 today. Doing the 24/20 blueprint would have worked 22 and a half hours so far this year. You'd be up $133,794, averaging $5,924 per day. Okay, and that's what we have with that. Let's see, on the, yeah, that's it. I guess we'll just get into the trades. We'll look at, let's look at the ES first because we only had a couple of things to look at on the ES. Wow. During the break. On the ES, our first trade was right here. We picked up 10 ticks on that one. And that is where we actually got the goal for the day. Our first trade on the ES, the big gap down on that one right there. We picked up 10 ticks out of it. We already had 9 ticks on gold when that happened. I think we had 9 ticks on gold. Yeah, we had 9 ticks on gold, and then we had 10 ticks on the ES on top of it. Then the next trade we took was right here. We picked up 1 tick on that to get us to 11. Wow. During the break, look at that. This is not a good enough retracement with that huge leg down. Did we have any valid trades in there though? Right here. First valid trade was right here, and the next one was right here. So there are 2 valid trades on the downside, and on the upside, there are none. No valid trades on the upside. Oh, wait, 1 right here. That would have been, nope, that wasn't valid either. That wasn't, nope, no valid trades on the upside. And that's the way it came together. You know, there's some things that I'm working on that you guys can do with just this trigger down here. That would have given you several different opportunities to get into trades in this if you wanted to. I'll talk about it later. But that was it on the ES. All right, so we'll go to the gold next. We ended up with plus 11 on the ES. The very first trade of the day, we almost had the goal for the day on the very first trade of the day. But I kind of screwed it up when I was trying to move my stop. And I didn't move it fast enough when we got just 9 ticks instead of the 10 that we needed. So we got 9 ticks there. And then over here, we picked up another 8 to get us to 17. And we stopped out, put us at 2. We stopped out again, put us at minus 13. We had a break even, and then we had a plus 25 right there. And that got us all the way up to 12. And a plus 1 right there. And that was the end of the session for us on gold. That got us up to 13 on gold. Now, during the break, this was a valid trade right here. That was there. This would have worked out. That would have, might have gotten you to break even. No, I don't think it did. That would have stopped you out to the tick. The next one, right in here, that would have been really close to stopping you out to the tick, but it did end up working out. There was a long right here. There's a short right here. I think that would have been a long right there. That would have stopped you out. Okay, a long right here, that would have been nice and profitable. A short right here, that would have been nice and profitable. A short right here, that would have been good. And a long right here, that would have been good. And that was all of that. All right, so we ended up with plus 13 altogether on gold. And the YM, we had a pretty good day with the YM today. See how we're retracing more right now on these. It's at that big move down. We did not have a good enough retracement yet. That huge move down there. All right, so on the YM, this is our first trade on the YM. It stopped us out, minus 15. Okay, then we picked up 20 ticks there to get us to plus 5. Then 10 to get to 15. Then 17, I guess, to get us to 32. The right number. Then 5 to get us to 37. Then 5 more to get us to 42. Then 9 to get us to 51, another weird number. Then 5 to get us to 56, and then 10 to get us to 66. And that is where we ended up with the YM. Now, during the break, this was a trade on the YM when we break even. This was a trade on the YM when we made some money. This was a trade on the YM when we made some money. This would have made some money. Break even. This would have made some money. That would have been really close to a stop up. It would have made some money and gap down right there. Next, it's all the way over here. That would have made some money. Then that would have been okay on the long side right there. That would have stopped out. This right here would have made a little bit of money. That was a valid short, and that was it. So on the YM, there were a lot of opportunities today. We ended up with plus 66 on the YM. Okay, now the NQ, we're back and forth quite a bit on the NQ today as well. We almost went into zero, went to negative on the NQ at one point. Went into zero. We almost went to negative on the NQ at one point. Gonna slide it all over here like this. Get it all over there. Like that. There we go. All right, so our first trade on the NQ is here at 9.52. We picked up 4 ticks on that. Then we picked up 4 ticks there to get us to 8, and then 20 there to get us to 28. We had a couple of break evens, both of which worked out really well. Then went from 28 up to 46, then 46 up to 70, and then the stop out. We went down to 45 and picked up 4 ticks to get us to 49. Then we stopped out again, brought us down to 24. Picked up 4 more ticks, got us to 28. Then we went from 28 to 40, and then I don't remember what I did on this one. I didn't count that one, whatever that was, but I went from 28 to 40 on this one. I knew I should have counted that. Let me go and see what that was. I probably have it listed right in here somewhere. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I can't find it. Anyway, I don't remember what we did on that. That was just a little bit we picked up, and that was where we ended it. During the break, there was a short trade right here. And there was a short trade right here. That was nothing. That was nothing. That was a short trade right there. All those would have worked out. That was a short trade that would have worked out. That was the first one that wouldn't have. That would have been a stop out. Okay, then you flip it around and go to the long side, and that one would have been a break even. Flip it around again, go to the short side. That one would have worked out. That one would have worked out. Flip it around again. There was a long right in there. And that was it. that was it on the NQ. So we ended up with just 40 on the NQ after all that. All right, now we can finally trade again. If you're just coming in on YouTube and you haven't seen yet, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. When you click on that purple button, it will bring you to this page right here. Just fill out the form. Okay, down at the bottom, make sure you give us a TradingView login ID. All right. Let's see if we can trade now. I have all my DOMs are ready to go here. Looks like, and yes, they are all ready to go. So we need this to get down, hit the midpoint, and bounce off it. We need this. This is not going to be anything here on the YM. The gold needs to pull down to the midpoint and bounce off it, and this is not going to be anything on the NQ either. All right. That is just the way it looks like it's going to work out right now. And let's see. On the ES right now, we have nothing right now on ES. And we are on the gold. We need to come down, hit the midpoint and bounce. Same thing over here on gold. You see it, the midpoint and bounce. Nothing there, nothing there. All right, here we are on the gold right now. It has a low of 70.2. So be looking to buy, well, right about there on up close. We need the up close on the gold to be a trade. Nothing here on the YM. The ES isn't quite there yet. We just need the up close on the gold to be along. The ES needs to go down and hit the midpoint and bounce. This has a lot of work to do. It's not a trade here. It's going to go up, get into the overbought, come back down, get into the oversold, and then go back up. Right? There's the up close on the gold. Okay, we need 5 ticks in profit schedule here at 71.6 to hit the stop to break even. Okay, 71.6. Almost there. We're in the Sam's cash. 71.6. Wait, we didn't get there. It could still happen. It could. There's no trade here, there's no trade here, and there's no trade here right now. Okay, so gold is the only thing we got going on. If we come over here, we look all the way out here. Look at that little guy. He's got one. almost got it. I got us on that one. All right, so the gold we ended up stopping out. And it was pretty close to getting us to the break even, but not quite. It's off by 2 ticks. All right, so we flipped the YBR over here on the NQ. Could end up with a short there. We're ways away from the YBR on these other guys, but I think it looks like the YM is going to flip the YBR here too in just a second. Okay, all it's got to do to flip the YBR is just touch the yellow. If you see the black bar right here, just touch the yellow. It won't actually touch it. It'll go where the yellow would be. That's all it has to do. Once it does that, you will know that when the bar closes, whether it closes up or down, it's going to flip it. It's like right now, it's not hit it yet. The next bar isn't going to hit it either, I don't think. I think it's going to be right up above it. Now, when I see something like that, I like to blow it up and see what's going on in the bigger picture. Okay. Because it doesn't usually get that close to the YBR without flipping it. And that usually means something's going on in the bigger picture. And what I said a minute ago about the ES, the same thing applies here on the YM. This right here is not near deep enough of a retracement. This huge move down that happened during the break there. It's actually started before the break, but if you do it like this, we just go from here down to here. That's where it needs to retrace up to, right up in here. Okay, given the information we have right now, that's what I would think. So I know on a smaller time frame, it's going to look bullish when it starts doing that, but it's not. It's just a retracement. Okay, just keep things in perspective. I believe it's going to flip now with the close of this bar. I think it's probably gone low enough there to consider it hit. You straighten that bar out right there. Right now, the YBR on this is at 495, and the low of this is 496. So I think it's going to count it as hitting it right there. We'll see in a minute or two. Does anybody have any questions right now? Anybody? There it is. It did flip it. All right. So on the NQ, you're not going to have a trade there. It's too far away from the midpoint. On the YM, you're not going to have a trade because it hasn't gone into overbought or oversold. And on the ES, you're not going to have a trade. So I don't know if we're going to end up with another trade right now. The way it's really slow. Really, really slow. You know what we could do? Could get a little more creative in here. Add it to the mix. There it is. So you would have just had a short up there. Could actually buy the gold right down here at the open of that bar. Did I add it over here? I didn't add it. Yeah, here too. Just to see if we can come up with anything else. Well, if you want to pin it, I mean, you can do no pin at all if you want to. You can go to pin to no scale if you want to. It'll automatically pin to a different scale because it's not on the same scale as the trigger. So you can let it create the other one, or you can do pin to no scale, and it still keeps it in the right place if you want to. Okay, I'll show you. Pin to existing pane. Oh, now go to the next one up. Click on it again there. Go to move to existing pane above. See, it just created this scale over here. But now I can take it and do pin to no scale. And it gets rid of that scale on that side, and it keeps everything in the same place. And that gives you the chance to take aggressive trades like this one right here on the ES, like this one right over here on the YM, like the one that I took a minute ago on the gold. The ES one right now, I can go to break even on. Look at a couple of ticks. Look at 3, 4, and we're out with that. The YM is a long trade, aggressive long trade right there. Okay. And that's not what I took it right now. Okay, so I took the ES aggressively, and I got some profit on that. The YM we're still in. I'll let you know how that pans out. Still in it. The ES was a good one. The NQ was actually a trade from right here a minute ago. I'm going to go to break even on that. Oops, it didn't film me. I can't go to break even. I thought it filmed me. My mistake. I'm still in the YM trade here. Okay, and the gold trade. I took the gold trade here a minute ago too. I think I got the 25 ticks profit on that. So the YM is the one we're in right now. I missed the NQ trade right here, the aggressive NQ trade. Okay. YM we're still in. Here it is. And let's see if I can find that gold trade. Where did my print sheet just come up? GC. Here it was right here. There's the gold. 69.3 down to 67.8. This needs to go to break even. This is the YM came back to life. That's going to break even. So I got, what did that say? I should have gotten 25. What would it say? 9.3 down to 7.8. It was not 25. I'm going to lock in 4 on the YM. So I'm up with 4 on the YM, 4 on the ES, and $15 on the gold. All right, so the gold actually evened out. I lost 15 there. I made 15 there. And on this one, being aggressive, we made 5 there. I made 4 there. And we didn't do the NQ yet. I missed this NQ trade right here. All right. That was being aggressive. Does anybody have any questions about that? The aggressive stuff? That is what I was doing back here if you look in the spreadsheet. When the markets were choppy and they weren't really going anywhere. That's what we're doing back here. Right? Just taking the trades based on the divergence between those two things that I just showed you. And we're having fantastic results. I'll show you. Okay, let's just go to something that doesn't have any down here at the bottom. we'll do this one right here. Right, it doesn't have anything down there at the bottom. So if you go in here and you go to indicators and you put on the range trigger, and that one goes down there at the bottom. Hey, something else just showed up at the bottom. Right? That was weird. You put on the range trigger and that goes down at the bottom, and then you put on the ultimate slingshot and that goes down at the bottom. Now you have these two separated. You can take this one and move it down, or this one and move it up. Just go to the three dots like this and go move to existing pane above. Okay, when you do that, it's going to give you that other scale over there. So in the same thing, you can go pin to scale.
All right. I guess audio went out for everybody on everything. So Jeff says he couldn't hear Michael, but Keith says he could hear Michael. Huh. Okay. All right. I guess we'll just wrap it up then. Okay. Well, we've covered everything, all the markets, so we'll wrap it up with our good word for the day. How to become generous, part 1. Life is not measured by how much you own. Luke 12:15. You want to become a generous person, do these things. Number 1, be grateful for whatever you have. Generosity rises out of contentment. It doesn't come from obtaining more. John D. Rockefeller admitted, I have made millions, but they have brought me no happiness. It's an inside job. If you're not content with a little, you probably won't be content with a lot. And if you're ungenerous with a little, you won't abruptly change when you become wealthy. Number 2, don't allow the desire for possessions to control you. Jesus said, guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own. Author Richard Foster writes, owning things is an obsession in our culture. If we own it, we feel we can control it. And if we can control it, we feel it will give us more pleasure. The idea is an illusion. If you want to take control of your heart, don't let your possessions take control of you. Number 3, regard money as a resource. The first time popular French author Dominique Lapierre went to India. Oh, so you're back.
Yeah, I was just typing into you. I can hear again.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you. I got out of.
Is there anything you wanted to cover?
Well, one thing I said is if you want me to help you with that, I can take control of your keyboard and mouse for a minute. And
oh no, I was clicking the wrong 3 dots. No, I got it.
Good. Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
Good. All right.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. The first time popular French author Dominique Lapierre went to India to conduct research for a new book. He rode in a Rolls-Royce he had just bought with a book advance. While there, he learned what he needed for his book, The City of Joy. But he also encountered something else, a passion to help the poor. And that discovery transformed his life until his death in December 2022. He distributed his time between writing, fundraising, and giving time and money to help people. His attitude can be summarized by these words on the back of his business card. All that is not given is lost. And that's our good word for today. Part 2 on that tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.